What is going on, guys and girls? It's Ghost Robo. We have a new console on the horizon, and I'm not talking about the NX. Tonight, there has been super hardcore confirmation of a new PlayStation 4, codenamed PS4 NEO. It's been referred to as the PS4.5, PS4K, but Austin Walker over at Giant Bomb has detailed a ton of information that this is the PlayStation 4 NEO, and because it's from Giant Bomb, a very reputable website with very good journalists and people that would not risk their neck on some dumb whim, but only if they were super certain. I take this to be basically fact. It's very interesting, it's very intriguing, and there's a lot to discuss, so we're going to jump right into it. Now, I will preface by saying that Sony has not confirmed this, and they won't. They're definitely going to have this be a part of their E3 show, but Giant Bomb sourcing this tells you that it is, I feel, 99% accurate. Maybe something switches last minute, maybe there's a change, but as of right now, this is the PS4 NEO. And before I get to the specs, what's really kind of cool is that they have Project Morpheus, which is PSVR, and now they have PS4 NEO, and so it's like, is there going to be another device called the Trinity, or do PS4, PS4 NEO, and PSVR make up Trinity? What is with the Matrix references, Sony? Kind of a cool little aside there. But the way this is going to work is that it's supposedly coming out in the future. That was not detailed in this report. I've heard January, not this holiday season, but I've heard early next year is sort of the most likely date. But let's get into the goods of the report and the story from Austin Walker. It's supposedly going to sell for $399, which is a bit of a bump from the PS4. And starting in October, every PS4 game is required to ship with both a base mode and a Neo mode for use on the new console. So base mode will run on the PS4 you have currently in your living room, or any PS4 that is at the baseline price, and then the Neo mode will run on the new console. So Neo mode will be able to take advantage of the hardware upgrades, offer things like better frame rate, higher visual fidelity. They aren't requiring them to be in 4K, but the Neo model will support 4K output, so some games could be in 4K. I don't think that's going to be a very rampant usage of this thing. I think more so the stabler, higher frame rate and the tighter visual fidelity. The interesting thing, though, is that they are not allowing developers to make exclusive gameplay options or special unlockables or anything extra for the Neo PS4 owners. So this will not split the base. Instead, it's looked at as more of a higher-end PS4 for the power user, because nothing else will really be different, and most likely, based on what I've read, based on the specs, it won't be so noticeably different that the average game player will feel, left in the dust or feel betrayed or feel anything of the sort. If we compare the specs, the original PS4 had 8 Jaguar Cores at 1.6 gigahertz. The Neo model has 8 Jaguar Cores at 2.1 gigahertz, so a little bit of an upgrade. The GPU on the OG PS4 is an AMD GCN 18 CUs at 800 megahertz. And the Neo model is an improved AMD GCN with 36 CUs at 911 megahertz. Memory-wise, you only see a jump of about 42 gigabytes per second. You go from 176 on an 8 gig GDDR5 to 8 gig GDDR5, 218 gigabytes per second. So it is a improvement, but not a massive one. And apparently Sony is very committed to making sure that these don't seem different, don't split the base, and isn't meant to be a next generation. So they'll use the same online store, the same PlayStation Plus, the same cross-media bar, the same exact experience. Everything will carry over. Everything will be playable on both. There are no, at this time, exclusive games. At this point, you begin to wonder, what are they doing this for? If there's not going to be anything exclusive, if companies and developers are not allowed to put any features on the Neo version that aren't on the regular. All it is a moderate bump in visuals and frame rate, and also offering 4K video output. What's it for? I guess one, it sort of gets in line for the trend of 4K TVs that eventually will come about. It provides them the highest quality output of any system on the market. It gives them sort of, again, a high-end and low-end model, something that happened last generation, where you would see, especially early on, Xbox 360s and PS3s with the 2 different levels of hard drives. And that still exists now, but it's more of a special collector's edition console type thing. Like my Modern Warfare, or my Advanced Warfare Xbox One has a terabyte instead of 500 gigs, and they've started to incorporate that more and more often. I mean, if the PS4 storage means nothing because you can just pop in a new drive very easily. I put a 2 terabyte drive in mine, and that made things so much better. But it seems like the main motivation here is just to establish themselves as the top of the line console, no matter what. And you have to wonder if it also is to get in there and get a new product to sort of stymie the NX launch. A lot of the rumors we've heard about NX are that it is supposedly going to be very powerful, more powerful than the PS4. It'll be interesting to see if it falls in between PS4 NEO and PS4, if it surpasses both, if it ends up being right alongside PS4, what they're going to do. So perhaps part of Sony's motivation here is to get a product out. And I think also they've sold so many PlayStation 4s, at a certain point you need to revitalize your market space. And if they launch it at a time when they feel that they've reached not a maximum, of course, but a very large percentage of the console buying audience, then maybe an injection of something high-end and new does boost their dollars, boost their revenue, and boost their mind share, and allows them to continue to take over the market space. They already have a substantial lead over Xbox One. Inevitably, they'll have a huge lead on NX when that comes out, and based on past generations, you don't see Nintendo randomly winning the console war with a late mid-cycle release. And this then gives them something to sort of compete in a way with PC Master Race players. It obviously won't be as strong. It won't give as much flexibility. It won't give as many options, but it is alluring, especially at a time when VR is encouraging the building of high-end PCs to say, hey, you can buy our PlayStation 4 NEO. It's going to give you 4K outputs. You can watch all those Blu-rays and whatever on 4K and any TV stations that may support it. Games are going to play even better than your plebe regular console players, just to make them feel like they're delivering this, again, like platinum level, high-end experience that gives the best console visuals, the best console frame rate, and starts to become an alluring head-to-head comparison with PC. Obviously, games will be different and vice versa, but maybe they feel with Uncharted 4, with Horizon, Last Guardian, and the likes, some of their partnerships they have with Call of Duty and EA and stuff, they can compete with PC at a high level, especially with their indie injection that they seem to get every single year and every single month. Crossplay on Vita, they can basically gobble up every counter argument you may have for PC. Now, not everyone, but you know what I mean, most of them. I think it puts them in a fine spot to be freaking successful. I think it goes one of two ways. One, it releases and no one cares. And two, it releases and is, again, a highly successful product that really captures that part of the market that is yearning for more, better, stronger, faster. The interesting thing is that this will coincide with the launch of VR. So another theory is that possibly they need some of this power to fully access VR. And that is where I think this is going to get real interesting. How well can the current PS4 use PSVR? How well will the games run on the current PS4? You have a $400 PS4. Obviously it's gone down in price now, but when you bought it was probably $400. And then you're going to invest another $400 or whatever into the PlayStation VR bundle, and it doesn't run all that well. You look at the Neo and it's running a heck of a lot better. And it starts to seem like, man, this was developed specifically for the Neo. Do you think that there is any validity to the fact that this system is being built out of some sort of necessity to accommodate virtual reality? We know how much of a hog it is on a regular PC. So how much does it impact the PS4? I think it's interesting that every game is going to be required to have a Neo mode. I think that puts a little bit of a press on developers, but it can't be that much. It can't be that hard. It's basically just up-resing and not even really. I guess it's just having a higher spec setting, almost like a PC. So that probably is super easy. No gameplay? Nintendo released the new Nintendo 3DS, which seemed to be kind of a disastrous move and a huge flop. They did say there would be some exclusive games. To this date, there's only been Xenoblade Chronicles. That ended up being kind of a nothing good to come out of it release, and it was very confusing. A new 3DS and it was a new 3DS. I don't know. It got really weird. So maybe by not having any separation, they don't rock the boat. I think all they want to do at this point is build their lead without risking. So by not having anything exclusive, while that may be more enticing, and in some ways ultimately may make them more money and sell more consoles, to have, hey, some exclusive features, or even a special mode, or even an unlockable. God, it could be something as simple as skins, or a different weapon, or a level, or even a freaking 4K image gallery. But the fact that they can't include anything different tells me that Sony is most concerned with keeping their user base united. And if you are a fan of your PlayStation 4 and you don't want to fork over a lot of money, $400 for a new console that just has a slightly better visuals, then you should feel really good. Because they are telling you basically, hey, you do not need to buy this, by very explicitly requiring developers to not modify anything for the Neo model. They are saying that you don't need to buy this new console, and I think that everyone should be pretty happy about that. I mean, it's very exciting when the new console comes out. It's always my favorite time, but I would much rather dip my money into a PlayStation 5, an NX, an Xbox 2, rather than a very incremental upgrade. They clearly also are not going the incremental route that initially people thought about a year or so ago, or whenever ago, maybe even 6 months ago, when people talked about incremental consoles and sort of mid-cycle refreshes, because in that way, I think people thought more that it would have some, at least more separation than this is indicating. This is indicating a very slight separation with a heavy focus on unification and no upset. They don't want to rock the boat. There's no need to. So get some extra sales, cement yourself as the industry leader, and challenge the PC when it comes to VR, 4K, and higher fidelity video game experiences. Eventually, you'll look at the PlayStation 4 NEO, and even at $400 with PSVR, you can basically get what you need for VR and a game system with 4K output for $800. Definitely 100% cheaper than what it would cost to build a PC and get VR. Keep in mind that the Vive is already $800. The Oculus is $600. So you're basically, you can't even buy, you could basically buy the VR and maybe a mouse and a keyboard, and you're already at the price. So there's no freaking way that PC can be price competitive with this if you want to play VR. So maybe Sony is also banking on the fact that VR will become a bigger trend than some people seem to think. Maybe they're banking on the fact that VR becomes a very coveted and cool tech. And that tech is already expensive. It's already targeting sort of the upper echelon of gamer and of consumer. And this PlayStation 4 NEO also is doing just that. So it makes sense that the person that would be interested in VR may be also interested in this NEO. I'm sure some people will upgrade. I'm sure GameStop and the likes will offer interesting, promos to get more bang for your buck out of your PS4 before this releases. But I am here to tell you, if these end up being the specs, which they sure as heck look like they are, based on the sources, I don't think you need to upgrade at all. No reason to dole out $400 for an upgrade. Spend that $400 on 8 brand new games this fall season. Go grab yourself the new Call of Duty. Grab NBA 2K17. Grab Horizon. Grab The Last Guardian. Grab Zelda. Grab Gears of War. Grab Deus Ex. And grab Battleborn or Mirror's Edge 2 or Doom or something. Get 8 games. Don't spend on this new system. Sure, it'll be cool. Sure, it'll be shiny. I'll be interested to see if they do any hardware redesign, like if the actual physical box looks different, if it just says, PS4K on it or PS4 NEO, or if there actually is a slimming of the system. That's an instance where I could see this being possibly a valuable upgrade. Not if you're going to keep both, but if you are going to sell the original and invest in the new, if it is a slim model, if it does have a hardware revision, and if it looks better and is an easier system, but the PS4 is already so tiny, I can't imagine you even caring. So again, to me, this seems like it has a very specific target. The Neo customer is a very specific customer. He's not General Joe. He's not the average mom and pop, grandma and grandpa shopping for Christmas. It's very specific. High end and targeting, very, very small portion of the audience. And they're not using the power for anything different on the game side. All it is graphics and frame rate, which basically falls under graphics. So you're not getting better gameplay, bigger worlds, more on screen. So the only way these things could possibly be different in terms of base game mode and Neo game mode, they say, these well-sourced reports, that maybe a base game has 4-player local co-op and a Neo mode would have 8-player local co-op, but it would not carry over to online. I don't even know how 8-player co-op would work. And it's going to be nothing substantial, nothing even minimal, nothing that would ever even show up on the back of the box. And they're also required to have parity when it comes to peripherals. So a Neo mode can't allow VR and then the regular omit VR. They either both have to use VR or both not. And they're not, again, required to use 4K, but Sony is providing sort of tips and tricks and suggestions to reach 4K if they want to. Also, past games, current releases, stuff like the Ratchet & Clank you're seeing now, or things, I don't know, like games that released before October, I guess, are able to be adjusted and patched to reach Neo mode if they want to, but it's only if they want to. It will not be required. So there's no like forced upgrade. It won't take your Last of Us Remastered and make it look better. This has to be put in there on purpose from the developers or patched in on previous releases in order to really take effect. I think a lot of it also is just knowing in the back of your mind that this is the best looking it's going to get. And for that, this will be perfect for those people. So that's all there is now, and I think that's about all there needs to be. Really, it's telling you everything you need to know. Slightly upgraded specs, required mode for all games, so they'll all work on this. Nothing different about gameplay. No splitting of the user base. $400. Sometime in the next 6 to 8 months. PlayStation 4 NEO, where is the Trinity? Or do we have the Trinity with VR, PS4, PS4K? What do you guys think? Are you going to buy one? Are you excited? Do you not care? Do you think it's dumb? Does it not bother you? Do you know somebody that will buy one? Are you waiting to buy a next-gen console and this is going to tip the scales? Or would you rather buy a $300 PS4 bundle that comes with some games this fall? I think that's a smarter choice, personally. But let me know what you think. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I try to do more of these game industry videos from time to time. I hope you guys like them and enjoy them. Let me know what you think. Have a fantastic day. Drink so much, all. I love you all. We will see you all later.